In this video, we'll be learning about the sine rule. Now, the sine rule will allow us to find unknown side lengths as well as unknown angles in any triangle, meaning to say the triangle doesn't have to be a right angle triangle. So, for example, if we had a triangle looking something like this, and if we labeled it the way we have learned in our previous videos, which was we label the angles at each of the vertex or each of the vertices, and we do this counterclockwise, like this: capital A, angle B, and angle C here, all of those in capital letters, and we label the side lengths with the lowercase letter of the angle that it faces, meaning to say I can see that this side length here is facing the angle A, so we'll label it lowercase a. In a similar way, I can see that this side length faces the angle B, so we'll label it lowercase b. And finally, we can see that this side length faces the angle C, so we'll label it lowercase c. Now, what the sine rule states is the following. We'll just go right ahead and write the formula. There are two ways of writing it. If we're looking for an unknown side length inside a triangle, we'll usually write the sine rule like this: A over sine of the opposite angle A is equal to B over sine of the opposite angle B, and that is equal to C, the side length C, divided by the sine of the opposite angle C. Now, what is this actually telling us? It's telling us that if we take any side length, for example the side length A, and we divide that by the sine of its opposite angle A, then that has to equal to the side length B divided by the sine of its opposite angle B. And that in turn has to be equal to the side length C divided by the sine of its opposite angle, capital C. So rather than labeling it A, B, and C, we can often just think of the sine rule in the following way. We can say that side 1 divided by the sine of, I'll just say op for opposite angle 1, has to equal to side 2 divided by the sine of the opposite angle 2, so the angle facing the side 2, and that has to equal to the third side, which we'll just call side 3, divided by the sine of the opposite angle 3. Now, I often encourage my students to think of it this way rather than to think of it in terms of A, B, and C. And the reason for this is all it would take for an examiner to make you a bit uncomfortable is to label the triangle differently. For example, X, Y, and Z, or U, V, W. So really, it's important to try and realize that what the sine rule is all about are side lengths and opposite angles. So, we've just seen that one of the ways of writing the sine rule is as so, and we would use this, remember, we'd use it in this format to find unknown side lengths. But there's also another way of writing it, and we could write the sine rule by flipping everything over, essentially. So we could also write the sine rule like this: sine of capital A divided by A is equal to the sine of capital B divided by B, and that's equal to the sine of capital C divided by the side length C. So this is a second way of writing the sine rule, and we'll usually use this way of writing it when we're looking for unknown angles. Now make a note of both of those formula. We're going to be using them quite a bit, and in fact in the next video we'll be learning how to use the sine rule to find unknown side lengths inside a triangle. And there we go.